This is Pam Reese with Adventures in Aging, and I'm here with my good friend
Gary Vandenberg. Pam, it's great to be back. Let's thank our sponsor, Stridelight, stridelight.net. Stridelight provides quality diabetic shoes, custom inserts, orthotics, lower extremity needs for over 20 years. They've been providing quality feet-related products. Please mention Stridelight to your doctor or podiatrist for the best solutions for your feet. Thank you, Stridelight, stridelight.net. Pam, what's our topic today?
Well, Gary, today it's all about your to-dos.
The to-do list.
The to-do list.
Oh, my gosh. You know, I'm notorious of having to-do lists. Are you a to-do list person?
I am not a list person.
You're not a list person?
I'm not.
Well, this is good conversation.
It is, and we'll get more into that. But first, I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have 10 minutes a day to add $4,000 to your monthly income?
I could probably find 10 minutes. If
I think we all could find that 10 minutes.
Well, good. And that's why do you bring that up?
Because that's the average income difference between people who write down their goals and people who don't.
Incredible. Now, we have a guest with us today. I brought in probably the person I know that has accomplished more things off a to-do list and a goal list than anyone I've ever met in my entire life.
I know, and I'm so excited to finally meet him.
And so we're bringing in today, his name's Cole Vandenberg. Actually, he's my son. Say hi, Cole.
Hello, it's very nice to be here. Thanks, Pam and Gary, for having me.
Oh,
I'm excited.
Yeah, so are we.
That's great. And like you said, Cole is hilarious because about every goal he's ever written down, he gets close to accomplishing that. Isn't that something?
Wow. So Cole, do you actually write down the things that you'd like to do?
Yes, I write down pretty much everything. I plan it out, and then I just see it to the end. So even if it's something really small or something really large.
So it's kind of a visual.
Yes, I write down everything, whether it's just what I'm going to be doing today or what I'm going to be doing in a year from now.
I mean, you know, there's like trips you've gone on, right? You ran the what is it? The Grand Canyon. You ran from one side to the other side,
No,
turned
I
around
love
and
that
ran
story.
back. And how many miles was that?
Yeah, it was over the course of 2 days, and I think it was 65 miles or something like that.
Isn't that
Are
nuts?
you kidding me?
Yeah, it was a great time, though.
And, you know, but that took some planning, right? You had to plan how to get out there. You had to plan how to run down this thing, what to bring with you, what not to bring with you.
And it's dangerous, right?
Yeah, so the biggest danger is always going to be with water, things like that. It's a goal or something I wanted to do for a while, and the opportunity just came a lot sooner than I thought. I thought it was going to be something maybe I'd do in 10 or 15 years from now, but the opportunity was there, so I just did it.
Isn't that something? So as we're talking about this, we'll bring this in. I also brought my current to-do list from my job, and I think there's over 200 things on
Gary, I'm looking at your list.
Isn't that hilarious?
Right now, and it's pages and pages.
It's pages and pages. And what's ridiculous is most of it won't get done. Do you know
so
that?
what do you do with that?
I know. Well, we'll work that into this whole conversation because unlike Cole, most of my to-do list never gets done. So,
Oh, well, me either. So what's wrong with to-do lists? So let me talk about that real quick.
sure.
So a lot of people argue about how great to-do lists are fabulous, but none of it will do good if you have a strong reason why you don't use one, right?
Right.
So this is why we'll look at the 3 most common problems people have to have with
why don't you have a
lists.
to-do list? You said you don't really.
I don't. Well, I'm pausing because I'm trying to give you
You're
a
spontaneous.
really...
You live in the moment, right? If it's important, it'll happen.
I often live in the moment, but in my mind, I have things I want to accomplish.
Right.
And then I just wake up and I'll have those 3 things in my head, those 5 things in my head. And at the end of the day, I say, I didn't do any of those.
Well, in fact, one thing I was sharing with Cole on the ride over here today was my department heads. There's about 10 of them. And each day I asked them, what is the one thing at the end of today, your one to do, that you want to accomplish?
Right.
You know? And people struggle with that at first, you know, because they want to do everything, right? And they end up doing nothing. So this was my attempt of having them say, I want you to have a sense of accomplishment. See, I think to-do lists give you that sense of accomplishment.
Well, psychologically, it does that. So when you see something in writing, you read it, you accomplish it, you cross it off. It's a psychological high you get from doing that.
So, Cole, do you find that having a to-do list, does it make you less flexible, more flexible? What do you think it does?
Yes, I feel like that if you plan things out in advance, you actually are, I guess, more flexible because you're not spending too much time planning out your day, you could say.
Yeah.
As long as you're not planning out too many things. I know sometimes people might have a list of 100 things they want to do in a day, but there's not that much time that you can do that.
Or 200 like I have.
Yeah, or 200 like you.
So, Cole, like as of today, is your to-do list over like the next year, or would it be like the next week? How do you do that?
Yeah, so what I usually try to do is have like a daily checklist to do. I usually write this usually the night before.
Yeah.
Some people like to do it the day of.
Yeah.
But I like to know what I'm going to be doing the next day. And then I have like a month outlook for goals and checklists. I have a year and then extended, because there's a lot of things you want to do in life that you just don't know when the opportunity is going to come.
Oh, my gosh. What an inspiration.
Don't you usually do these around your birthday? I thought that's when you announce your...
Yeah, so my birthday is actually in about a week. So
you have your to-do list for the year.
He's working on it.
I'm working on it. It's I always make it like the day before I finalize it, and just let my family and everyone know what I'm going to be doing the next year.
My gosh. And Cole, from what I understand, you come up with some pretty cool things to do.
Yeah. Me and my dad, we went on a road trip about a month ago now, where we took a train across the country.
Yes.
And this is something that we wanted to do for a while. And like I said before, the opportunity it just came. I had some time off. He had some time off. And
oh, my gosh.
we took a train from Cleveland to Seattle.
That is a cool to do.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, these aren't just like bucket list things. These are, I am going to do this. Yeah. It's not I hope I can do it. It's you truly believe you're going to do these things.
Yes, it's more of a lifestyle than an actual bucket list, because these things are just they're gonna get done. It's just, when are they gonna get done?
Isn't that crazy? So
it is.
Yeah, and he drops. We take it all the way out there to Seattle. I fly back to where I was working. He takes off for another days, and he goes off. Next thing you know, I'm getting pictures of Crater Lake, right? Yosemite.
Oh my gosh!
Where else is he going? Right? He's
where is he?
Meeting up with a cousin that rarely we ever see, and which is wonderful. It's like, wow, what an adventure!
So, Cole, do you add to it? Like in that scenario, you go, you accomplish, and then do you say, you know what? While I'm here, maybe I'll do.
Yeah, so I've noticed something that just in general, as you kind of knock things off your checklist, your bucket list, your goal list, that you end up realizing that there's so much more that you can actually do. And something that I realized I could probably do down the line is maybe run or hike the Pacific Crest Trail when I was out there. And it's a trail that goes from...
I don't even understand that.
It's a trail that goes from Mexico to Canada.
Oh, my gosh.
Nothing I ever thought about doing in my entire life until I was out there. I ran a few miles on the trail and said, this might be something I want to do down the line. So I think just seeing what you...
That's not on my to-do list, by the way, but that's wonderful. But I think we're also saying, is there some... When you said flexibility, I know when we went out to that trip... I said, hey, I used to work out here. Let's gun it over there and take a look at this waterfalls, right? How do you add in something like that to your trips?
Yeah, maybe it's just about having kind of an idea what tomorrow is going to be like, or plan out your day, but also having enough flexibility in there throughout the day that you're not over planning it.
No,
so maybe only having like 5 or 10 things you want to do the next day, and I mean a lot of the things you're just going to get done anyway. It's just because it's life, but. There's just a limit of how much do you think you can actually do today, tomorrow, next week?
So I'm assuming this requires a ton of self-discipline to stay to your list, to accomplish all those goals, right?
I know for me, whenever I have a to-do list, I do the fun things first, right? I shouldn't.
Well, who doesn't?
I think you're supposed to do the important things
first.
Oh,
is that how it works?
Come back to that. But I do know one of the reasons I have a to-do list is because I can't remember everything. So I'm always writing stuff down. So doesn't that make sense?
Throughout
the day,
they're reminders.
Throughout the day, people are throwing, things at me, and phone calls are coming in. I jot this down on my to-do list, and some of them say, which things. I think what happens is time drives all this stuff. When you have to run out of time. Most of the reasons I never get anything done on my to-do list, there's no time. But if it says, like in about a week, we're going to lose our cable at this nursing home I've been helping out, right?
Yeah.
They're switching cable companies, or the current one's going to double their price. So there's a timeline. I got to do something before the middle of the month.
There's a deadline and a consequence of you not doing it.
Yeah. Otherwise, if they said, sometime we should get together and do something, it'll never happen.
Yeah. So with Cole, what I love is his to-do list has a lot to do with his desires and fun. and I want to accomplish this. I love that.
Oh yeah.
Do you ever do that?
And career stuff too. It's something to watch. Cole go, this is what I want to do, and hunker down and do it.
Yeah.
And so, but I don't know. Mean fun things. I don't put fun things on to-do list. I don't think.
I have a lot of fun things on my future to-do list in my head.
In your head.
In my head.
Wow.
Not written down.
So,
maybe if I wrote this down, I would do them.
So, Cole, when it comes to career, your education, was there other things that were on a to-do list that you recall, or like a goal list?
Well, one of the things I did was I graduated college a year early.
Yeah.
And that was definitely on my to-do list, my checklist. A lot of the things with, like, checklists, for example, are the day-to-day things add up to month to month, to year. So to graduate early, you have to put the work in years in advance for a goal that's down the line.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes your day-to-day checklist over time will just be based off of that day, Yeah.
So cool.
And then paying off your loan, I think you've got a plan for that, right?
Yep. Just going back to the other thing, just you need a job, you need to make income, a budget, things like that to hit the goals and the numbers that you want.
Wow. Do you ever not hit your goal or your to-do?
I can't really think of one because I'm really focused in that sense.
Well, he said something recently to me, probably in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
He goes, I could accomplish pretty much anything, but it may be the only thing I ever accomplished. Maybe you could explain what that meant when you said that.
Yeah. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's about like self-limitations, because I think people can achieve anything that they want to.
Yeah.
But you have to know what the sacrifice is that you have to be willing to give up to achieve those goals. So if I wanted to be an astronaut, for example, I think that was the conversation we were having. I think I could be an astronaut, but that might be the only thing that I ever do for the rest of my life, because of the commitment and time it takes to learn all that stuff. So
yeah, he belongs to me. He's my offspring.
This is your child,
Isn't
Gary.
that mind-boggling? Yeah. Who are you?
Oh, where'd you get this from?
Must have come from your mother.
Right.
My goodness. Well, like I said, there's things that are on my list mainly because I can't remember. But when you stop and think about, why don't we do things on a to-do list? I mean, I wonder how many things really get done. So,
we don't stick to our list, and it's common for 60% of the people to actually accomplish what was on that list.
No, I would think, it's. You think about New Year's resolutions, have you ever been to a gym in January? It's packed.
Who hasn't?
February, it's back to normal.
No, because
right?
you're done by the middle of January.
Oh, yeah. People trying to lose weight. Everyone's eating salads in January. By February, they're all back to
I'm
Big
going to
Macs
change
and
the
Wendy's.
way I think. I'm going to change what I do.
Isn't that something? I think some of the thing that ties in with, with to-do lists is I think it just helps you prioritize things. Right.
So that is one of the major accomplishments out of creating that to-do list. However, some people overestimate what they can do in a day, and then they underestimate what they can achieve in a year. It sounds like Cole has that down because you're disciplined, because you're self-disciplined.
So what is it? Don't you have a daily goal of running? What's your goal here?
Yeah, so 4 years ago, I decided that I was going to run every single day at least 1 mile for a year. That streak has continued to today. So kind of going back to like the lifestyle of your checklist, every single day when I make my checklist for the next day, the first thing on there is run a mile. So
yeah, so last night, I'm roaming around the house about midnight or
you're roving.
I run into this guy in his jogging outfit, ready to go jog at midnight. So yeah, it's
because he still had his goal for that day.
He had his goal, and he was either knocking off yesterday or going after today's. But going back to I think having a goal does there's something in my brain. Was it endorphins or something they call that?
Endorphins, dopamine.
Yeah. I love to check things off. I love to.
You love the feeling of accomplishment.
Drawing that line through something, saying, I did it. And sometimes it's the stupidest thing, like call so-and-so,
Right.
And then, and it has the same weight sometimes as, change the world, or something on my to-do.
I'm not putting how, but I would like to do this.
Yeah, but that sense of accomplishment. So, Cole, you get that sense of accomplishment in your to-do list?
Yeah, we're definitely related because I definitely enjoy, checking off the box or erasing it off my notes in my phone. But But I guess it just depends on the person, right?
I'm actually learning things listening to you. I wish I would have had this mindset when I was like your age. I mean, like when you're our age, look at everything you will have accomplished. And then you'll keep adding to it, right?
Well, what happens when you accomplish your goals, though? I remember being in a spot in my life. I was probably in early 30s of my life, and I hit everything. I'd hit everything I wanted to accomplish.
You didn't have big goals.
Or else I hit them all.
Oh,
isn't that the
maybe
weirdest
so.
thing? Yeah, sitting there one day going, now what do I do? My to-do list was blank. You know.
Oh, my gosh.
Isn't that bizarre? So,
yes, you have to have a mind that can compartmentalize and to think in those terms.
But I do think, and what I've read about to-do lists and goals and things like that, and there's a couple of things I was going to tie in here. What's interesting is there was a book out. The book is called The Checklist Manifesto.
All right.
And I actually have it in my hand. And there's two things that were exciting I want to tie in here. One was the fact, this was back in like World War II, they had these test pilots. Do you remember seeing that on television or movies or anything like that? And these planes would crash left and right. Mm-hmm. They couldn't get them off the ground, and they wanted to make sure that they flew. And so they found that there's a group of test pilots, and this was down like Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and they had on a index card, they written down step-by-step checklist of taking off, landing, taxiing, anything that would happen in flight. And guess what? They went over 1.8 million miles without an accident.
Oh, my gosh.
And they
because they wrote it down.
Because everything had to do with, what do they call it? Pilot error.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so by just having a simple checklist. And then I remember hearing this book on tape, the same thing. Mm-hmm. And I just was glancing through the book here before this program just to figure out if I could find the same thing. But what the World Health Organization did was they went around and they figured out, how come some people have high mortality rates after surgeries or after birth, or, infections, those types of things. Mm-hmm. And other countries have like 2%, 1%, right?
Yeah.
And what it boiled down to was they said that if you had a checklist that said, and you're a nurse,
yes,
what is your body temperature, what is your pulse, what is your blood pressure, what's your respiratory rate, and there's a few other things.
Your to-do list,
like washing
medically.
Washing your hands. And I know another one that came up was interrupting the doctor if he was making a mistake. In some countries, you can't interrupt the doctor, but in our countries, you can. So, and so, have you ever heard of such a thing? And by having these checklists, you're nodding your head. No, never heard.
No, I'd never heard of this.
By having a checklist, and they tried this in other countries. I mean, that mortality rate dropped
just from a to-do list.
Just having like 7 things on a to-do list.
Reminders.
Yeah, and if you stop and think, most of us go to a doctor, what are the first things they do? They check your weight, your temperature.
They have a checklist. They have a to-do list.
Because in this book, what it's showing me, it says they took 32,000 unique combinations, but by doing like 7 basic things, you can narrow down and diagnose people almost instantly. Isn't that crazy?
And you know what, Gary? All that really makes a ton of sense. And I have never equated like process management, that type of thing, to accomplishment of, or a to-do list, simply a to-do list.
A to-do list, yeah. And we deal with that every single day.
We do.
And, when I think about it, though, it's trying to break big things down into little pieces. I wish I did a better job at that. Does that make sense? Like,
yes.
Even something like changing cable company. It sounds like, well, that's just make a few phone calls. There's probably like 18 other steps I should be doing. See where I'm coming from?
So let's talk about that. What about on your to-do list, Cole, for you too? You have this very simple, I'm going to do this. You start to do it and you realize there's 20 other things I have to do before I can accomplish that.
Yeah, I think kind of going back to what you're talking about with the pilots and the medical.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of trial and error in realizing how much you can get done and what is important. I think just over the course of the last couple of years, I realized that maybe this item might not be important to do every single day.
Yeah.
So I think just kind of doing a trial and error and seeing what actually should be on that list is important.
And I've done this a few times. Maybe Cole's done it. I'm not sure if you've ever done it. But to step back later in life and look at an old to-do list. Have you ever looked at an old to-do list? Cole, not really?
No, not really.
Okay.
He does not because he has done it.
All right. But I have.
Okay.
Mainly to see what I need to move to my next to-do list.
All right.
So, but what's interesting is you do begin to analyze your own behavior. You begin to see, I'm doing the things that are fun and easy to knock them off. See what I'm saying? The big ticket items I'm still wrestling with, right?
The important work-related
career, life-changing things.
Yes.
No, that's still on the list. See what I'm saying? So to-do lists actually do help you kind of look at yourself objectively later, saying, I didn't accomplish these things because I'm afraid. I'm lazy, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I had other priorities. Whatever.
So I think I handle that career professional type of to-dos probably in the worst way possible. And so if I get an email, I have an Outlook calendar, I print off those emails, or I'll print off my calendar, and then I become overwhelmed with all those things that I'm supposed to do. I got to call this person. I got to follow up on that. I have to research this. And then I put it aside. And then I just start in my own mind thinking, okay, I know, Gary, but I keep thinking.
And you get things done. You actually get things done.
I actually get some stuff done. But believe you me, at the end of the day, can you not always look back and say there were 5 things I didn't do?
Yeah.
You too, Cole. Do you do that? No.
Yeah, I guess so. But I wish you have all the work you have to do in one place. I think one of the things that kind of drives me crazy is not realizing what you need to get done that's not there. So, if you have everything printed out there, you know that is what you have to do. And nothing's really slipping through the cracks.
The voice of logic.
Well, I've got
There's a reason.
Well, I have my little my printed to-do list, but then I also have a to-do folder that I throw little Post-it notes and little miscellaneous garbage into.
Gary, I have actually seen your little tiny Post-it note list. Yeah. I have been with your dad, Cole, in meetings. And he pulls out this little tiny
Post-it
note, and he's making all these little notes on it, and he folds that little post and puts it back into his pocket. And I think that's going to go through the washer. He's never going to look at that again.
Well, no, it sticks around.
It sticks around.
Resurfaces. And maybe that's part of it, too, is even if it's not on your list, like you don't have a list, if it's important, it'll come back. Isn't it something?
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer. We talked about stress in the past and things. If something's really important, it'll come back again.
Have you ever had that awakening in the middle of the night and you say, oh, I forgot to do?
Oh, yeah. I forgot to.
Have you, Cole?
Oh, yeah.
Forgot to be on a phone call. Forgot to call someone back.
Yes.
Forgot to put something in the mail that needed to be dated yesterday.
And you get a sense of panic that you didn't do it. Yes.
Well, one of the studies that I read in prepping for this was the fact that every 15 minutes you may spend planning ahead with a to-do list, you save an hour actually doing something.
Every 15 minutes.
Yeah. I don't know how you do formulas in life, but somebody sat down and said, let's do something. And some group sat down and spent 15 minutes and saved an hour on the project. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's probably just throughout the day or the week, you're not trying to figure out what's next. You already know what's next because it's right there. Kind of like with your emails. Yeah. You already know, just go to the next one.
Yeah.
But you just kind of know what's already there.
And there are tools out there. I've seen, and there's even things in email, if we ever figured out how to do it, that could remind us later that this is something.
So I love on my phone, on my calendar, on my phone, I get the pop-ups of things that I'm supposed to remember. And at first I didn't like it. I thought this is annoying. And now I'm almost thankful that I get these alerts because so many times I might have forgotten to do something.
Yeah, and that helps you with being reliable, deadlines, those types of things, being on time to.
Well, that's one of the benefits, right?
One of the benefits is by having a to-do list, even if it's a phone reminder thing. That helps you at least remember to jump on a phone call at 2:00.
Right, and the task list or the to-do list actually can help you manage your workload better. And it even gives you the ability to say no to something. No, I'm not going to do. Right?
It says no. So let's go back to some of Cole. Since we're picking on Cole here today, he's here.
I love it.
He has his headphones on. We can't let him out of here. So back to what are some of the things you're looking for in the future here, Cole? In your future, Cole, for goals?
I guess one of the big ones that's coming up soon is paying off my student loans. It's not an easy one, but the numbers there, you know what you got to shoot for. Mm-hmm. So I've been working hard to get that going.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm just fingers crossed that my loans get forgiven, but you just never know.
That would be lovely.
You just never know with that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else is on my
Any trips coming up?
Yeah, what about fun? Well, like, what are your next fun things to do?
Well, I'm running the Boston Marathon in the spring. It's something I've been training for a while.
Are you kidding?
So,
oh my gosh.
I think that's in April. So I'm very excited for that.
Yes.
It should be one of the most amazing runs I've ever done in my life.
Oh my God. Are you running in it, Gary?
No.
Okay.
They won't let me
just for the
anywhere near
experience.
that. Yeah, they won't let me near there. But yeah, but sometimes things have happened in your life, Cole, because you prepared for it, right? You recently were in a marathon here in Cleveland, and half marathon, and you really didn't prepare much for it, right? But it happened, right? So
yeah, sometimes like goals, just through preparation, you get into situations where you do things that you, I guess, weren't really expecting to do. Mm-hmm. So I ran a half marathon a couple weeks ago and got second place. And I really wasn't expecting to be doing that well, but I guess
you did.
But I just did. So I guess just daily preparations kind of led to that point.
So Cole, when you were a little guy, were you similar to this? Did you have things you wanted to do when you were little that you would think about and accomplish?
I'm not quite. Really
Dad,
can't.
what do you think?
Yeah.
Well, he was going to be recruited by the NBA, I think, in 6th grade.
So I guess that is true, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that
son.
I don't know if that to-do list
Yeah.
item came up. I think being structured, being in sports.
So he was the structured.
I think being in sports, whether he was in soccer, he was the goalie there, and I think there's different leadership roles, and people that are in leadership roles kind of think, structurally at times about how to get everybody lined up and how to make things happen. So that was good. And I know this trip planning stuff, I think, started. When did that start? When you were in college?
Yeah. So when I graduated college, one of the things I wanted to do goal wise was take a road trip.
Yeah.
And so I wrote down a bucket list of 30 or 40 items and took a road trip from Ohio to Florida to California to Oregon, back around.
Wow. And
it was like 3.5 weeks, and I knocked off a bunch of things.
Was it like 10,000 miles? Was it something?
Yeah, it was like 10,000 miles over the course of 3 weeks. And
we'd get little updates. Oh, I'm in Colorado. Oh, I'm in Southern California,
But I love that. I love that spontaneity, but I love that you stick to it. And that excitement, right? Don't you get an excitement when you accomplish?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I always just say, like, there's no time like now. Especially like for these like outdoor things. Like I love running. I love going on trails. I just know like down the line when I'm older, I might not be able to run across the Grand Canyon. I might not even be able to do that now.
In his wheelchair or his walker.
Yeah.
I feel like you'll find a way.
Maybe.
It's always fascinated me that people, my whole life, oh, I can't wait till I'm retired. So then we're going to go travel.
I know.
And
Who does?
Well, a lot of people do, but I'm just saying, I'm thinking, you're going to be slower. You're going to,
And will you enjoy it as much as at a time when you were younger? I don't know.
I don't know. It seems like if you're able to break away and go on these wild adventures, then keep doing it. But as you plan for next year, is there any other plans that come up, Cole, that are on your to-do list that you're thinking about? Any trips like do you want to go on a cruise? Do you want to go back hiking? You want to go to a different country and explore?
I think down the line, I definitely want to go to like Europe because I think it'd be a cool place to go to.
Yeah. I almost picture you, Cole, like backpacking through Europe.
That would be fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm going to go to like Hawaii sometime in the next year or two. I lost a bet with my sister going back to the student loans that whoever paid off their student loans first got to pick a trip, and then the loser had to pay for it.
She had a couple of years.
She had a head start,
that helped Cole with his goal.
So I guess sometimes your goals also are other people's goals. So
yeah, so true. That is very cool. What an incentive, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I lost, but we get to go to Hawaii together at some point. I
bet your dad tags along.
Well, possibly in that one. Yeah, I've tagged on along on a couple of these things. But how about something like a car, getting a new used car or something like that? How do you process that in your mind? How to run your car in the ground or do something?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, my car is definitely near the end of its life.
Sure.
But
it gets you where you want to go.
Yeah, some ideas and goals like that are just in the back of your mind. Like, at some point in the next 6 months, year, you're going to have to get a new car. It might be tomorrow. It might be a year from now.
Yeah.
But you always have to be prepared for things like that. things will always pop up in life, so you just got to be ready for them.
So
that's just having a good positive attitude.
So if your car doesn't, let's say your car like didn't start tomorrow and will never start again, do you have like in your brain something, a process going, well, then I guess I would do this and this and this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have a game plan for myself. I mean, not everyone's going to have the same one. But for me, I guess whenever that car does die, because it's at 220,000 miles.
Yeah.
I mean, the plan would just be, buy the next car, buy a used car, whatever situation is going to be. But, I already have the steps, in place. So
you're going to do great.
Not everyone is structured like this. Some people would hate this, but that's just how I am.
So I'm loving hearing it.
So I know we try to ask each of our guests. We haven't had many. We should have more, right?
That's right.
But what is your adventure in aging, right?
That's right.
Adventure. So Cole, what is your adventure in aging? How would you answer that question?
I think I'd kind of just talked about it a little bit, but I'd say whatever you want to do, just do it now. I mean, now might not be today, but figure out what you want to do. It might be in the next 3 months, 6 months, year, whatever it might be. Because there's no time like now. Like going on a vacation, the people that you want to go on vacation with may not be here. So go ahead and do it now. Don't wait for that.
That's a humbling statement. So true.
I mean, I always tell this to my dad. I always say most things, I think the way I usually determine it is 90% of things you want to get done, you can get done in 5 minutes. And then the other 10% can get done in 10 minutes. And that doesn't mean you can actually get it done. But, I mean, if I wanted to run a marathon, I get signed up for a marathon on my phone right now in the next 5 minutes.
Make a decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just make a decision and then just stick with it.
Cole, you give good advice. What an inspiration. I can't thank you enough for sharing all that with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Good gene pool from your mom's side. That's what I keep saying, right?
That's what I'm thinking, Gary. That's what I'm thinking. Well, everyone, we came to another end of our show. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Please share. Please spread the news about our podcast. Gary and I are having a great time having it, and we'll see you next time.